When we think of the future of travel, many people might immediately think of the Hyperloops
that travel at airline speed through pressurized tubes using electric propulsion and magnetic levitation. The concept promises to slash journey times between major cities from several hours to a matter of minutes.
For self-driving cars, or these things that look like a drone and a helicopter had a weird baby. Those things are tech developments that are challenging, but in a way easy to spot. The course for those has in some ways been charted. You can see where it's headed. More interesting, I think, are those tough political decisions that destinations will have to make to protect themselves from the negative aspects of unending tourist growth while finding that sweet spot of revenue and sustainability. It's been great to see some articles coming out in the last week in major media outlets, touching on some of the same themes I've been hammering away at for the last 2 months. But even if destinations wanted to make changes, how would they do it? I mentioned in a previous video that DMOs, or destination marketing organizations, don't really have the political mandate to manage tourism. But another thing they don't have are the tools to manage tourism, even if they wanted to. Such tools don't really exist yet. It's like asking a local police office to monitor hundreds of kilometers of roads for speeders. They can't afford to hire hundreds more officers, but the invention of the speed camera makes it possible. Which begs the question, what new technology? Well, actually, I'm going to let the German travel technology professor ask the question.
I'd like to get your take on the following. From your perspective, how can destinations effectively use technology to reach their goals? Or put differently, what steps towards destination digitalization do you see?
Thank you, Professor, for the challenge. Of course, there's many ways to go about this, but I think when we're pushing out a new tech system, it has to not only be easy to understand and use for the visitor, but offer so much convenience and appeal, they're happy to use it. For the various stakeholders, it needs to be two things. One, a painless integration with whatever tech they're currently using. And two, it has to offer them some real benefits like a new revenue stream or more visitors. Some might point to a city card, but city cards make the problem worse. It's really just a voucher system. The selling point is that you can go to any attraction whenever you want, but that just ends up sending visitors to the most popular attractions at the most popular times of day, and it adds to the long lines and crowds. What's needed is a citywide digital infrastructure for tourism. Let me say that again. A citywide digital infrastructure for tourism. It's 1,000,000 times cheaper and easier than other infrastructures we've already built, like putting water, electricity, and internet into every home and office. And like those other utilities, it's probably best if the city keeps control over it and protects the data. So what might that look like from a visitor's perspective? Maybe something like this. So you get your room key, it can be on your mobile phone or a key card, or put the chip in a bracelet, which is good for kids or if you're doing sports. With your phone's camera and a small barcode, you can connect them in a few seconds to the city app. Any of them can open your hotel door. And you can skip the complicated subway ticket machines and just tap your card or bracelet and enter. In fact, that key to your room becomes the key to the city. It unlocks whatever you want it to. Clean public bathrooms, lockers, mobile phone chargers, bus rides, taxi rides. This card doesn't actually work, by the way. I asked the guy to fake it. He said it might launch his acting career. Or not. And even though it might be included, you still have to pick a time when you go into an attraction. It can get you back on the airport train and perhaps even through security, plus as many cool perks as you can dream up. It's like a 2.0 version of a city card, plus hotel key, plus it can offer dozens or even hundreds of other fun, creative, and helpful perks to the visitor. Combine this with time-ticketed entry at the major attractions, and there should be no reason that any visitor has to wait anywhere. Imagine a destination with no lines, no waiting. How awesome would that be? Remember, when you're in line, not only is it a total waste of time and a downer, visitors are out of the consumer loop. They could be using that time to shop or eat, which would elevate the daily spending. So how does a destination create a roadmap to implement something like this? I've been working on that part for years. Get in touch if you want to hear more. Because I also want to cover a destination that's already doing this, sort of. We need to move on to Helsinki. And by sort of, I mean Helsinki allowed the Chinese company Tencent to build a platform based on WeChat, which is mainly aimed at their Chinese visitors. It's pretty cool. They can use WeChat to pay for public transport, get recommendations for sightseeing. The city had it made for free, but it's basically just for the Chinese visitors. To pull off something this innovative, you need a forward-leaning destination CEO, and Helsinki certainly has one. I caught up with Laura for an interesting chat.
I think that the travel industry is a bit of kind of like a victim of its own success. This is an industry that has been growing so fast and like all over the world. Every destination, I mean, almost every destination has been growing and growing quite rapidly. And that has made us kind of lazy. We haven't considered that carefully that what kind of growth we actually want. What is good growth for our destination? What's a good number of visitors we actually want? What type of visitors we actually want? And we should have in our destination. So it's been growth more focusing on numbers and not on quality. And I think in a way it's even this terrible crisis that is hitting our industry. It's actually, it can mean also a fresh start. So I think it's in the future, it will be a lot more about destination experience than about, seeing things. So it's switching from seeing things to doing things. And we've been talking about experience economy for many, many years. But I think this crisis will have the impact that the destinations that really focus on destination experience and making a completely unique experience are the winning ones.
It's one thing to wish for it, but is it the DMO's role to manage that? And then what tools do you have to try to control and manipulate who's coming in and who's not?
Well, I think another outcome of this crisis is that the role of the DMO is so much changing. It will change a lot. I mean, are we marketing organizations? Are we management organizations? Are we both? Or what is the who do we work for? Do we work for the industry, or do we work for the city, for the destination? And who are the stakeholders that we want to have on board in the activities that we do? But I think what I strongly believe is that we need to focus a lot more on customer insight. Let me give you an example. Finland is a country that is generally known for design and architecture. But what kind of experiences do we provide the visitors in terms of getting the best experience around design and architecture? Very little. So, I mean, I think we should be a lot more focusing on making this absolutely the best ever destinations for those who are really curious about design history, architecture history, understanding how this society is built up in the way where architecture and design play such a crucial role. And
I got to stop you there because that's a lot to unpack. Just 1 second. So, okay, first of all, can management and marketing, should they be under the same roof? I mean, or is there natural pushback between these two things when you're looking at crowd control? And you mentioned some carrying capacity. And then you mentioned the third wheel, which is the destination development in terms of should there be funding to jumpstart various initiatives that are brand aligned experiences?
DMOs should be a lot more in line with the city's strategy. So what is the kind of, how does the city envision its future? And how can we make the visitor industry, the travel industry, to serve that vision? and looking at that in terms of destination management, destination marketing, and development, what the city needs, what kind of like activities or services you need in the destination to make that vision come true.
Wait, how do you do that though? So I was just recently speaking with Bhutan, and they have a committee that looks at every single project that comes down, and they allow it or don't allow it. So if you're trying to push for design and architecture, and someone is pushing a go-kart track in the middle of the city, how does that work in an open, democratic, capitalist society?
It's an open society and transparent society, and you need to convince the politicians that they need to understand what tourism can make for the city. So you need open discussion. So you need to, DMOs should be in ongoing dialogue with politicians, with the city executives. So how do we make this city functional in the way that it also it provides a good experience for the locals and for the visitors? And that means that we're not looking for, of course, we're looking for sustainable growth, but we're not only looking for the numbers in the hotels, but we're also trying to spread out the visitors in the city, trying to give them unique experiences, trying to talk about the authenticity of the city, and very much focusing on the local experience as well, so that the locals' opinion doesn't turn against the industry.